I join the chair in regretting the shameful lack of comment from Muslim countries about the oppressors of the Uyghurs. Only Turkey has spoken, and that is only because the Turkish opposition party shamed the government into it, because the Uyghurs are not only Muslim, but also Turkic. Every other Muslim country has cowered toward China. They don't cower toward the United States. They're free to criticize us and often do. I join with the ranking member in support of his bill, which we passed to have the State Department push America's economic goals abroad. I would share with you just how long a distance we have to go in changing the culture there. Ironically, our top diplomatic schools are dominated by those with the attitudes of Confucian scholars toward the messiness of business and trade. In one instance, I'll only remember, we had before my subcommittee one of the top diplomats in America who, in response to a question, said yes, he did do something to support American jobs. He supported the sale in his country, in the country he represented, of the Chrysler Crossfire, which is 99% made in Germany. Not a mistake this diplomat would have made about anything he cared about. The WTO was not a risk, it was a blunder. 65% of the Democratic caucus voted no. 3.4 million jobs is what we've lost as a result of this blunder, according to the Economic Policy Institute. And today we have a president who at least is trying to do something about it. The reaction in my party is natural. We call it Trump derangement syndrome. It is that we must reverse our position if Trump is anywhere close to where we have always been. I hope he does not tweet something in favor of Mother's Day. There will be pressure on me to come out against mothers. The fact is, we were right then, we were right now. We shouldn't abandon our economic values and join the U.S. Chamber of Commerce just so we can be the opposite of Trump. And we've got to be aware that Wall Street funds most of the economic institutes in this country, who then confer legitimacy on an ideology that is pro-Wall Street and anti-jobs. One quick dovish statement: the islets in the South China Sea, there's no oil there, and if there was, it wouldn't be ours. There's no people living there. Trillions of dollars worth of trade sails by there because it goes in and out of Chinese ports, and this would give the Chinese the capacity to blockade their own ports. It is not an excuse to tremendously increase the aggressiveness and funding of the U.S. Navy. People on this panel came of age during the last parts of China's great century of weakness, but we've got to remember that's an anomalous period. For millennia, China has been the hegemon in its whole world. Then its whole world was East Asia, now its whole world is the world. In the history of Rome, when a Roman leader made a political mistake and was on the wrong side, that Roman leader would get into a warm bath with wine and luxuries, soft music, and they'd open their veins. And they would relax in comfort for a wonderful hour. We are at that hour. We are comfortable, surrounded by luxuries and $600 billion worth of goods, more than we actually produce. That's our trade deficit. We hear the soft music of economists telling us not to worry about the trade deficit, and in an hour, will expire. We're eyeball to eyeball with China, and in the Chinese view, they are going to win. They know they have the weaker economy. They are dependent upon American markets far more than we're dependent on them. They think they'll win because their political system is stronger. They believe that if they lose $1 trillion in GDP and we lose $1 billion in GDP, we will fold. That they have the unity and patriotism to persevere, and that we have division, self-interest, and no willingness to endure even the slightest pain to achieve victory. We don't need to wage a trade war against China, but we have to be prepared to win a trade war against China. We will avoid that war and win if China thinks we will win. They now think we would lose. We can't win a trade war with China if we don't have a plan to deal with a sharp decline in Sino-U.S. trade. They have a plan, we don't. Virtually no U.S. corporation has a plan to deal with the temporary cutoff in Chinese trade. That's a level of corporate malfeasance that I'm not sure their errors and omissions policies will cover from shareholder lawsuits. And in my own hometown newspaper, the headline is, "Trump Trade War Hurts American Consumers." We're either going to endure a little bit of pain now, or we're going to bleed to death slowly with unsustainable trade deficits.